This video's Personal SEO teaches how to set up a new person in SEMRush. SEMRush is a great tool. It gives you a lot of great information. If you just subscribe to SEMRush, then this would be how to set up an initial account. The account that we have is the largest account that they sell. So there's going to be some differences between the basic account and this account, but most everything is pretty similar. So the very first thing that we're going to do is we're going to set up Personal SEO. And so what I always do is, since we have 68 projects, is I always just make sure that the site isn't added. There's a lot of times that we do things, we'll add sites to give a full site audit, because on our website there is an opportunity to sign up for a free site audit, but it only does like the homepage, and I tend to want to give a full audit to everyone. So the very first thing that we do is go to, so Personal SEO is already in here. So the only difference is, and I'm just not going to go through this, is that if you click add new project, type in the domain, and then we tend to type in the domain again, just for clarity. It's easier to remember a domain sometimes than it is everyone's name. So type in your domain and type in whatever you want to name the project. You could change this at any point in time. And then once you type that in, you will get to this screen. Okay, so the very first thing that we do is we run everyone through a site audit. What you're looking for in WordPress is around an 80 to 90% range. After the site audit has gone through, it'll give you some errors that need to be fixed. And if you fix these errors, then your percentage will go up, which is great. So they're looking at around at a 90% success rate, and we're 80. So to run a campaign, what you do is click on the sprocket over here, and then actually you would click on a button that says run campaign, and then it will walk you through it, but I'm going to go over here, and then it will actually bring up the same exact thing that you will see when you click on site audit to begin with. So this comes up. What you would do is you would pick and see how many pages there are on the site. If it's just a blogging site, usually 1,000 will hit them all. If the site's been around for a long time, then 5,000 pages is a lot. I skip the AMP thing. Google is dumping AMP as far as I could tell, so I'm just going to not do AMP, and then crawl source the website. If your site uses subdomains, you can click on this and then either check or uncheck the subdomain process. So for example, if you're an IDX broker, I would tell you to go in and uncheck the crawl subdomains section here, because the subdomain will all be IDX broker, and you can't change anything on those pages anyways. So I'll just hit update. The next page of crawl settings is you can determine what type of bot you're going to be. A Google bot, the mobile, the desktop, the SEMrush. Most of the time, just leave it at SEMrush desktop. That'll be fine. Again, I'm just going through an initial crawl, and leave all of the rest of the settings. Unless the crawl fails, then come back and try Google Desktop, and then try this to slow down the bot to see if it works even better. Allow and disallow websites. Now this is important for Sierra interactive websites and diverse solution websites, just because we don't want to go into the listing section. So I'm going to go to davidflemingre.com, and this is a client, and this is his Sierra website. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on communities. I'm going to actually, I'm just trying to narrow down to a listing is really all I'm trying to do. So I'm going to click on Colleyville. Why is this slow? And then I'm going to click on a listing to go directly to a listing. And the section that I'm after is in the URL string. Once this page loads, my internet's slow, or there's something wrong with their servers. Okay, and since I don't want to waste your time in waiting, I'm going to also right click on the search and then load up this page. Okay, so you see right here in the URL string, ignore the pop-up, is that it's property-search. So you're going to grab this and then you're going to paste it in here. That means any page after anything that has property search in it will not be crawled. I'm telling the bot not to crawl those pages. And sometimes on Sierra interactive sites, they'll actually be two separate ones. So make sure that you click on the search, and then if it's property search, great. Click on a listing. If it's property search, great. Sometimes they can be different. You can also grab this detail here. Again, we're just trying to make sure that the bot doesn't crawl those pages. That's pretty much it. Since I don't use Sierra in the site, I'm going to delete them. Okay, remove URL parameters. 90% of the time, you are going to ignore this. Most of our clients don't have this information on Sierra sites and MLS sites doing the previous thing. Then therefore you don't have to do this thing. So I'm not really going to explain it, but it has to do with question marks and ampersand signs in the URL string. So if it's a shopping site, this is something different. So just go by it and then bypass website restrictions. This is if you're having trouble with crawling the site. Most of the time, the webmaster or the site administrator will fix those issues. Send an email every time it's completed. Great. Schedule. Now I'm going to switch this to once. I don't want to do this on a regular basis. I don't want to bug the client and or myself with everything that happens every week. This is something that I do monthly. So there isn't an option for monthly, so I just hit once, and then I go in manually monthly and do it. So then when you're done, just hit save, and then it's going to crawl the entire website. And it already did it, so it's not going to do it again. So out of the 10,000 pages, we have 248 pages here. The major thing that we want to correct first are the errors. So 70 pages returned a 404 status page, which means that these have broken links in them. That means that the webmaster, myself, will have to go in and fix all of these broken links. And more than likely what's happened is that the page is either linking to an outside page and that website is gone. That tends to be usually the case. And so we'll go in and fix all 70 of these broken links. Or the post is just gone. So we'll just go in and audit, fix all of these issues. The other major thing to do, these are exactly the same, so that's not that big of a deal. Another major item is you have an HTTPS website linking to an HTTP page. This could be fixed by a plugin, but since there are only 15, I'll pop in and do them manually. That's kind of it. I just won't wait for this to load. Yeah, there you go. So this right here is an HTTPS page. It's linking to the old site, which is an HTTP page. So this picture is probably broken. I'll go delete the picture. And then Active Rain, all of those will be fixed just by going in and adding an S right here. So it's just popping in, editing all of the 15 pages, and then going from there. I would best decide if these images aren't working, I would delete them, and then that solves the problem, or I would add an S, and that would solve the problem. The warnings. This tells you about caching problems. So unminified JavaScript is usually handled by a plugin on the website. With Sierra interactive sites, IDX broker sites, iHome Finder sites, there's a little to what we could do to solve this issue. So most of the time I just ignore it. If it's a simple blogging platform like our websites on WordPress, it's actually something I can fix. 40 pages with low text to HTML ratio. This means that there's more code on the page than content. This usually happens with video pages. This happens with, for example, the site audit page. It's just an iframe. So that will need to be changed. The 18 pages that don't have an H1 heading, obviously you just go in and change that. Probably the same 18 pages don't have meta tag descriptions. We just pop in and change that. 11 pages with low word count. There's going to be some pages with low word count. More than likely what we try and do is if those pages have if we could combine pages to create a higher word count, then that would solve those issues as well. Let's go back into warnings. Duplicate title tags, those are easy to fix, but we just kind of fix most everything in the errors and the warnings, and then we tend to look at the notices. This doesn't really have that many things to do with ranking issues. The orphaned pages will, but redirects, it's fairly low. There's not 10,000 redirects, it's only 166. So this more than likely won't be issues that will be fixed. Most of the time, the issues of the other two, the errors and the warnings, you can switch between those right here. The errors and the warnings will be fixed. The notices will be fixed if you fix the errors and the warnings. So it's kind of start with the errors, and then you'll have less warnings, and then you'll have less notices. So that is the entire site audit. It's the first thing that we do. And then that is how we fix them. You just go in and do the hard work and fix them. And the idea is to get this to 90%. And like I said before, some sites won't be able to get to 90% because they're using a solution that prevents that. Thank you for watching, and this is Personal SEO Teaches, SEMRush initial setup and the site audit section.